So, picture this. I'm 18 years old, just starting to figure out my own path in life, and my dad pulls this major disappearing act. Yeah, you heard me right. He straight up abandoned me to chase after some new chick who turned out to be the same woman he was cheating with while he was married to my mom. Can you believe that? Here's the kicker, though. My parents weren't just your average mom and dad. They were workplace colleagues who became friends and, you guessed it, eventually fell in love. They had this whole history together. And after 20 freaking years of marriage and having me, my dad decides he wants to hit the reset button on his life. I can't wrap my head around it. Why would he just throw everything away to start a whole new family? It's messed up. And it's left me feeling confused, hurt, and honestly, pretty angry. I mean, I thought we were a tight-knit family, and now it feels like he's tossed us aside for something shiny and new. It's tough, trying to understand why someone you love and trust would do something so selfish. But hey, life's full of surprises, right? And this one hit me like a freight train. So here I am sharing my story with you all, hoping maybe someone out there can relate or has some words of wisdom to offer. If you've been through something similar or have any advice on how to deal with a situation like this, I'm all ears, my fellow Redditors. Now, with Dad leaving, you know what happened? Well, that meant that everything suddenly fell on my shoulders. And I mean everything. You see, my mom has been battling depression for about 3 years now, and when my dad took off, it was like a landslide of responsibilities crashed down on me. Dealing with my mom's depression was no walk in the park. It's like this dark cloud hanging over our home, making everything feel heavy and suffocating. I became her rock, her support system, and the one who had to keep things together. It was a tough gig, let me tell you. On top of that, I had my own stuff going on, college pressure, the never-ending assignments, exams, and constant race against time. Some days, I felt like I was barely keeping my head above water. But you know what? I've learned a thing or two along the way. Life has a funny way of throwing curveballs at you, and it's up to you to step up to the plate and swing for the fences. Just a few days ago, out of the blue, my dad gave me a call. And let me tell you, it stirred up a whirlwind of emotions within me. I was anxious, nervous, and angry all at once. I mean, who wouldn't be, right? After all the pain he caused, I had prepared myself for a confrontation, ready to let him know exactly how I felt. But you know what happened? He acted like nothing ever happened. Can you believe it? Like all the hurt, the abandonment, and the shattered trust were just distant memories. It was as if he expected me to sweep it all under the rug and pretend like it never occurred. I'll admit, I worked myself up trying to sound mature and proper during the call. I wanted to confront him, to make him understand the pain he put me through, but his nonchalant attitude caught me off guard. It was infuriating, to say the least. I had this whole speech prepared, the kind that cuts deep and makes him realize the consequences of his actions. But instead, it felt like he was brushing everything aside, hoping we could just move on like it was all in the past. In fact, he invited me to his anniversary with his new wife. As soon as my mom found out about my dad's nonchalant behavior during our call, she was livid. And honestly, I don't blame her one bit. Seeing her in that furious state ignited a fire within me. I mean, how dare he? How could he treat my mom, the woman who loved him unconditionally, with such disregard? I love my mom with all my heart, and witnessing her pain and anger was like a punch to the gut. It reminded me of everything we had been through since my dad walked out on us. It was a constant struggle, both emotionally and financially, and here he was, acting like it was all a distant memory. I couldn't help but think back to how my parents used to be. They were madly in love, the kind of couple you see in old movies. From handmade gifts to thoughtful cards, flowers, and heartfelt letters, they were the epitome of everything old school and romantic. I remember finding a box tucked away in my mom's closet filled with mementos from their early years together. It was a tangible reminder of the love they once shared. And now? Now my dad was celebrating his anniversary with his new wife, expecting me to be there like it was the most natural thing in the world? Are you kidding me? It felt like a slap in the face. How could he expect me to embrace this new family he had created while abandoning the one he already had? It's not that I hold on to the past or want my parents to get back together. I've come to terms with the fact that their love story had an expiration date. But what I can't accept is my dad's utter disregard for the impact of his choices on our family. He left us behind for what? A few fleeting moments of happiness with his new wife? It just didn't add up. It made me question everything I thought I knew about my dad and our family. So, Dad, if you think I can just put on a smile and attend your anniversary celebration like everything is so simple, you've got another thing coming. I won't play pretend and pretend that your choices didn't tear our family apart. I won't let you brush aside the pain and hurt you caused. After everything that had happened, I couldn't just sit back and let my dad's actions go unchecked. I needed to show him that his attempts to rub his happy family in my mom's face weren't going to work. I was no pawn to be used in his game. Revenge was on my mind, but I knew I had to be careful. Revenge is a dish best served cold, right? So I started taking baby steps, plotting my ultimate move. I observed, I planned, and I waited for the perfect opportunity to strike back. And then the day of their anniversary arrived. It was the very event my dad thought would prove his superiority and his newfound happiness. Little did he know that I had a surprise in store for him, one that would make him regret his choices for life. I have something special for you both, I announced, trying to hide the satisfaction in my voice. I made a video edit to commemorate this special occasion. As they unwrapped the gift, a sense of anticipation filled the room. The video slideshow began playing, showcasing moments from my parents' past, as well as precious memories of us together as a family. It was a visual journey through the love and happiness they once shared. A message flashed on the screen, written in bold letters. Disclaimer: just because he has a kid with you doesn't mean he won't leave you. Silence fell over the room as everyone processed the audacity of my words. Gasps escaped from the shocked onlookers, and all eyes turned to my dad and his new wife, waiting for their reactions. But I wasn't done yet. The letters, carefully preserved and full of sentimental value, were the piece de resistance of my revenge. Each letter held a piece of the past, a glimpse into the love my parents had shared during their high school days. As my dad and his new wife opened the collection of letters, their expressions shifted from confusion to disbelief. The weight of their choices bore down on them as they read the heartfelt words penned by my dad years ago. As I turned and walked away, I felt a mix of emotions. There was a sense of closure, knowing that I had stood up for myself and made them face the truth. It was a bittersweet victory, a step towards healing and moving forward. Do you guys think I did the right thing? Or AITA? Update 1. Oh, wow. Things have definitely taken an unexpected turn. It's been 3 days since the unveiling of my revenge plan, and tensions have reached a boiling point. My dad consumed by anger and frustration, has shifted the blame onto my mom, accusing her of orchestrating the entire scheme. But I couldn't let him continue down that path of false accusations. But he wouldn't listen. It's all so annoying. Update 2. So, like I said, unable to bear the burden of my mom taking the blame for my actions, I decided it was time to come clean. I confronted my dad, looking him straight in the eyes, and told him the truth. Dad, this was all my plan. I orchestrated everything to hurt both of us. I wanted him to know that my mom had no part in this, that she was innocent in the web of revenge I had spun. It was my way of taking responsibility for my actions and freeing my mom from his blame. His anger turned into confusion. His expression softened slightly as he processed what I had just said. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, my dad spoke. His voice wavered, revealing a hint of remorse as he said, I never wanted things to turn out this way. I never meant to hurt you or your mom. At that moment, I realized that beneath his anger and betrayal, there was still a flicker of the man I once knew as my dad. Update 3. All right, let's continue. So, my dad wants us to start a new bond. He has apologized for the pain and hurt caused. With a heavy heart, I looked at my dad and mustered the strength to speak my truth. Oh, and I remember the exact words. Dad, I appreciate your apology and acknowledgement of the hurt you caused, but rebuilding our relationship won't be possible right now. We both need space to heal and find our own paths. I continued, my voice filled with a mix of determination and vulnerability. We've both been through so much, and both of us need to focus on our own healing. Perhaps with time and effort, we can find a way to rebuild our relationship, but it won't happen overnight. I don't know how much he understood, but I guess he did because he is giving me the space I want for now. So let's see what happens in the future. ESH. I got it all, but publicly doing that video thing not only embarrassed him, but also your mom. Did you think about that? Your dad doesn't seem that bad, OFC. What he did is questionable. But it's a good idea to give this a chance. NTA, your plan definitely looked like it was over the top, but I get it. I do. Hope things work out now. Next story. I'm 29, male. My girlfriend, 28, female, is a nurse. She has rotative shifts. That means 1 week she has the morning shift, the next the afternoon shift, and then the night shift. As the morning shift comes straight after the night shift, she usually has trouble waking up on time to get to work during most of those days she needs to get up early. We live together in a rather small apartment. She has a 30-minute drive to get to work from home. I work every weekday from 9 to 5. She has to be in the hospital by 6 a.m. So she usually wakes up at around 4:30 or 5 to be able to have breakfast before leaving. She likes to have a big breakfast as she doesn't often get to eat anything else until around 2 p.m. when her shifts are over. This depends on the day. Sometimes she has free time and other times she doesn't. Picture some coffee, orange juice, bacon, eggs, pancakes, or waffles, and maybe something else like another fruit, cereal, or something else. She leaves a big mess every morning with different kitchen utensils, dirty. She doesn't get to clean them up because she's running late. We moved in together into her apartment when the pandemic started. Back then, I didn't have to work, neither go to the office or work from home. For a while, but she had to continue working, obviously. So I cleaned up after her when she left. Then I started working from home, but the workload was much less than usual. So as I had lots of free time before she got home, I cleaned up too. However, now I have to go back to work at the office. Have been doing so since the lockdown was lifted. I now wake up around 7 when she has already left. I don't like to eat a lot early in the morning, so I usually just have coffee for breakfast, maybe a cookie or some pancakes if my girlfriend left any, but nothing else. I don't clean my girlfriend's breakfast mess anymore. I just clean my cup and plate if I even use any. We don't have a dishwasher. So my girlfriend complained about me not cleaning after her a while ago, like half a year ago or so. She told me it's very discouraging to come home and see every pan dirty because I didn't clean them up when I could easily do it. At the time, I told her that I had to go to work too, so now it's not fair that she just doesn't clean up after herself. Ever since, this has been an ongoing conflict between us. This week, we had an argument about this again. I came home early because of some accident that happened in my office building. Around 1 p.m., then my girlfriend got home and she complained about the dishes still being dirty when I was home. I told her that my cup, I only had coffee that day, was clean and that all of the dirty things were hers. She got very angry and claimed I never help around, which is false. I'm tired of always arguing about the same thing over and over again. Am I really wrong here? NTA. Being a nurse is a demanding job, and I'm sure she's running on fumes, but you're her boyfriend, not her maid. Not only is she not pulling her weight, but she acts entitled and like it is your job to clean up after her. If she lived alone, she would have to do her own dishes like every other adult. Having a job does not absolve you of household duties. You could stop being sort of petty about it, though. Communicate with her and come to an agreement. You are NTA. If she's able to build sufficient time into her schedule to prepare an elaborate breakfast, then she needs to build 10 or 15 extra minutes into that routine to take care of her mess. It was one thing when you were pitching in more because you didn't have as many responsibilities outside the house, but she can't expect you to pull more weight because she can't manage the demands of her schedule. This is probably part of a larger discussion, however. It might be time to sit down and map out how much each of you contributes to the balance of household labor, to include the emotional, mental labor of managing it. Who does the laundry? Who does the shopping, grocery or otherwise? Who does any apartment maintenance? Imbalances in one area can be offset by one of you pulling more weight in another area. But it's in your best interest to figure out who does what and how much that contributes to the overall workload of the house. Good luck. NTA. She should clean her own messes, no excuses. She got used to you doing it, but you are both working. What would she do if you didn't live there? Next story. AITA for not inviting my cousin's stepbrother to my wedding? I, 23, female, I'm getting married later this year. I'm very close to my first cousin, 23, female, and she's one of my bridesmaids. 9 years ago, her dad, my uncle, 50, male, got remarried to her stepmom. My cousin does not like her stepmom, and I have only had a handful of interactions with the stepmom over the past 9 years. I did meet the stepbrother one time years ago, however. I've spoken to him only one time since when he randomly showed up at my sister's reception uninvited. So I decided I would only invite my uncle and his wife to the wedding and not the stepson. This came up in conversation with my grandmother, 70, female, and she demanded that I give them another invite for the stepbrother. She has not contributed any money to my wedding, and she has made it very clear she does not like my fiancé. So I told her I will not be inviting him, and if he shows up, there will not be a seat or food for him. We are having a food truck and only purchased enough tickets for the people invited. She then started to yell at me and told me I was being unreasonable and needed to get over myself, and that it isn't just about me. She then tried to ask my fiancé, and he also said no. She has now a complaint about me to the rest of the family, so AITA? Edit. The stepbrother is 32 and does not live with the uncle and stepmother. My cousin does not have a close relationship with him either. The relationship between my uncle and mom is strained because of some bad choices he made years ago that rubbed her and my dad the wrong way. But that is not my story. The wedding is very small to start with, and there'll only be 55 people, including myself and my fiance. Many other families are not invited because I have not seen them in 10 plus years and would not be comfortable inviting them. Also, my fiance's parents and my fiance and I are the only ones paying for the wedding. No money is being given from my side of the family. Grandma does not like my fiance because he has a lot of tattoos and piercings, and she's a very classic Southern woman. My relationship with my grandmother has always been strained since I've always been one to do things that she does not approve of. NTA, if you've only met him once, why would he be invited? I personally wouldn't invite someone I'd only met once to my wedding. Jesus, I've got people I know well that I probably wouldn't invite, never mind strangers. NTA, I don't get why people get so heated over someone not wanting to invite a person they don't have any kind of relationship with to the wedding they're paying. And yes, it is literally about you and your fiance. What does she mean it isn't? It sure as hell is not about your cousin's stepbrother, IMAO. NTA, at 32 and living independently, he's an independent adult who you've met twice, once of which was him being rude and crashing your sister's reception. You're having a small wedding. You have no obligation to invite anyone you're not close to. Maybe suggest your gran can give him her invite if she thinks he's so important. Stay tuned for more stories from our girl relationships.